Hey guys, welcome. Today is Sunday, September 11th. And in honor of this day, Dana and I decided that we were going to do an entire class dedicated to essential oils for preppers. Now, you don't have to be a prepper, you don't have to be an alarmist to be prepared. And in light of the number of different um, disasters and problems that we've run into in the last few years, we thought this might be a really apropos time to have a class of this nature. And it's something that's not often discussed. I'm not saying that these tips and these hints are only good and will only give you value if you're prepping for a disaster or an emergency. However, these are great everyday tips that you can use so you can create an emergency preparedness kit centered around essential oils and some key essential oils. And with me, as always, is Dana Dalby of Whole Health Dana and my lovely wife, Jennifer. So every week we are here for you on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. We present a different essential oils topic to you every Sunday. It is an open forum. You are more than welcome to come, invite your friends. We try to keep it as brand neutral as possible. Occasionally you will get some brand mentions. However, this is really more designed around the education of essential oils than it is about trying to sell you on a product or a particular company. We always open up the floor for questions. And then once we shut down the recording every week, we also open it up for just a full open Q&A session where you can ask anything that to your heart's desire in the world of essential oils. So with that, I want to throw out a couple of questions in regards to the topic. And basically, these questions are really simple. What if some type of a disaster befell your neighborhood? That doesn't have to be something that ended up with massive loss of life. It doesn't have to be something that is just, crazy. But let's just say there was a piece of an airplane that fell off and landed on a street, blocking your way out of a neighborhood. Let's say there was a fire that eliminated your ability to get to medical help. What would you do if one of your children had an asthma attack and you couldn't find their inhaler? What if somebody in your family developed an infection and there was no medical help available? You couldn't get to urgent care. Your doctor was not available. What would you do in the case of having a bad toothache and you can't get to the dentist, or an emergency situation where you're out and or you're on vacation and you don't know the lay of the land and you don't have access to your provider? How would you handle that? How would you handle the stress and the anxiety associated with a natural disaster, an economic crisis, an act of terrorism? Now, I'm not asking you this to put fear into you because, well, I hate fear. It's just not worth it. But I ask you this. Sorry, I have to move the cat. She's playing with my oils. I ask you this because I want you to question your level of preparedness. Where are you in regards to being prepared for your family? So with that question in mind, I asked Dana to come up with a list of must-have oils that you should have in your preparedness kit. I mean, everybody, if you asked anybody what's in your preparedness kit, first of all, most people don't have one. I'm just as guilty. I've never had one. Most people would immediately assume that their preparedness kit is a first aid kit. Store-bought, $12.99, primarily Band-Aids first aid kit, because there's only 3 things in the whole kit that anybody ever uses, and 2 of them are Neosporin and Band-Aids. And maybe a pack of gauze if the cut is too big. But most people don't have a preparedness kit. If a disaster happened, if there was another September 11th, if there's a active shooter situation that shuts down a neighborhood, if we have another situation like we had in Louisiana with floods, or in California with the fires, and you're without power for 3, 4, 5 days, how do you respond? Everybody's in a panic. people can't get medical help. They're lining up for what little bit of gasoline may be available. There could be looting. It could be unsafe to be out in the streets. How are you prepared to take care of your family? So with that, I want to throw it to Dana so you can give us your list, give us the whys. If you guys have any questions throughout Dana's part of the presentation, as always, click the chat button at the bottom of your screen. You can type your question in there, and either Dana or myself will address that as we go through it.
Awesome. So that was kind of a heavy question there, Evan. It covers way more than essential oils of how you would be prepared, but we'll just try to stick to topic tonight. But really, it's not about, when you say prepper, people think of, zombie apocalypse and it's really not like that. Things happen all over this world with earthquakes and floods and tornadoes and, all kinds of crazy things that can happen. And, it's just good to have, some, a box, a tub or something set away of, preparations in the event that you needed something for an emergency. So I told Evan I was going to come up with, hey, did you see that your zombie went away when you scratched your eye?
I did.
So I told him I was going to come up with 5 oils, like must-have oils. If in the event of emergency, the 5 oils I had to have on hand. But I found that I couldn't narrow it down to 5, so I narrowed it down to 7. If I had to do 5, I suppose I could. But I came up with 7 oils that I thought were probably the most important for me that I would want to have in hand for, the event that, I couldn't get to medical care, I couldn't get to health, I couldn't get to safety, and I just, needed to have stuff on hand. So oil number 1, lavender. I think this has got to be on everybody's list anywhere in the world who, makes a preparedness kit, because lavender is just so amazing. It's antifungal, it's antihistamine, anti-infectious, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiseptic. It just has so many uses. So in the event of emergency, I would be using it for the same things that I use it for every day: cuts, scrapes, burns, blisters, bruises. You could use it for bug bites and bee stings, relaxing, reducing anxious feelings and stress. In the event of emergency, the biggest thing is we're not equipped to run like this every day, and most of us have probably never experienced one of those crazy emergencies where we're at a loss of what we need to do to protect ourselves or take care of ourselves. And so, that's going to bring a lot of stress and anxious feelings. And so lavender is perfect for it. Use it for hives. It's great for inflammation, sunburns, lice. If you have aches in your ears, you can use it for relieving soreness and sprains and muscle aches. And so it just has so many uses. Bug repellent. I've used it for bug repellent, for rashes. It just has so many properties that to not have lavender in your kit would be a tragedy in my book. Evan, I assume it's on your list?
Of course. Lavender is like the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. There's really no getting around the benefit of lavender. Unlike a lot of people, I'm one of the few, Jennifer as well, we are 2 of the few people who have been through a disaster. Both of us went through Hurricane Andrew down in Miami. So we know what it's like to have spent days upon end with no power while people are in a panic. And I can tell you that one of the things that is paramount to a situation like that is to be able to remain calm and eliminate as much of the anxiousness as you can. And lavender is beneficial for that. And keep in mind, when we're talking about oils for a prepper's kit, we're talking about oils that are generally safe to be used topically or can be applied to clothing or used in an inhaler type, because chances are you're going to be without power. And if you're without power, it means you're without the use of your diffuser. And yes, there's often going to be no water as well for your diffuser. So you need to be using oils that are safe to be used topically, or to be used on your clothing where you can inhale the aromas that way.
Excellent point. And you know, some of the oils that I picked, well, most of the oils that I picked, you know, the reasoning behind them is, you know, how great they are, but there's other oils that, you know, you're working together. So if you're thinking, okay, I can only take a few oils, you know, lavender, you know, you can use it with lemon and peppermint. If you've got, you know, seasonal funk, or, you know, use it with melaleuca if you've got ear pain. So, you know, there's a lot of these oils that I have chosen are also because, you know, they work well with other oils for common, you know, type ailments that, you know, we run across on a daily basis. Lemon's my second pick for oils that I would want to have on hand. It's antiseptic, antifungal, antiviral. So lemon is really great for, you know, mood elevation, you know, trying to keep an uplifted, you know, feelings, but it's also really great for cleansing. So if you're in a situation where you're without water, you know, having something that you can use to wipe down surfaces or, you know, clean up is something that's really, really vital. And lemon is better for, I mean, so much better than just for that. I mean, for sore throats. Love Summit's lemon for anything that is some sort of sore ailment. You can use it for constipation. Stomach upsets, releasing stress and fatigue. It's good for, you know, winter symptoms, coughs and colds and, you know, flu-like symptoms. So it's a great one to have on hand. If I had to pick, though, if you made me narrow down my list, lemon would probably be the one that I would reluctantly get rid of. But I don't have to. It's my kit.
It's one that there's a couple of reasons that I have lemon on my list. Pretty much everything Dana mentioned, but also there's, you know, when we talk about the anxiety level, when you're in a survival situation, there are a few things that are key to survival. Relaxation, lessening your anxiety is definitely one of them, but remaining focused and remaining vigilant are also just as high a priority. You have to have spatial awareness. You have to keep yourself from drifting into paranoia. And that combination of lavender and lemon, and then I know Dana's next one is going to be peppermint. That trio has so much benefit for the body and the mind that you're going to have allergy symptoms that are going to prop up from this type of an environment, whether it's trees that have been shaken or dust that's in the air. So that lavender, lemon, peppermint combination is going to give you physical relief. The mental calming, the focus, the anti-anxiety power of all three of those in combination. It's such a powerhouse trio that it should be the cornerstone of any essential oils for any kit, and usually is. You know, beyond the extra frivolities. I mean, if you forced me to only take 3, it would be lavender, lemon, and peppermint. Like if you put a gun to my head and said you're only taking 3 oils, it's those 3.
Funny. And that would be the one I would have to give up. How great. You know, I read somewhere, and I wouldn't know how to do this, but I read somewhere that historically, the French have used it for lemon, not necessarily lemon essential oil, but used it for water purification.
Yes, I've heard that too, and I can't validate it with the oil. But if my choice is to drink tainted water or add a couple of drops of lemon essential oil to it in the hopes that it helps purify it, I'm adding a couple of drops of lemon in the hopes that I'm getting to purify that water and act as a bacterial agent.
That's one of those situations where you're hoping your preparedness kit also includes a water filter. Mine does, by the way. All right, you were right. Next oil definitely has to be peppermint. It just has too many uses, you know, especially, you know, if you've got, a situation like I imagine when you guys were in your hurricane, you probably had some neighbors who were more prepared than their others. And so there were people that were helping out others, I would assume, that were less prepared. And so, that trio that you mentioned, the lavender, lemon, peppermint is awesome. But, if you've got children or you got digestive issues, I mean, peppermint could probably save your whole entire neighborhood. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antiviral. It's great for nausea, reducing a fever. It helps create alertness and focus. It's great if you've got head tension. You can use it for muscle aches and pains. God forbid you need this, but if you were without power or help for a long time, you might be really glad you have peppermint to repel ants and spiders and mice and other pests. Digestive orders, so if you've got a bellyache or heartburns, bloating, indigestion, constipation, great to have. And shock, they actually use peppermint for helping treat shock and colic in babies. So a great one to definitely have when you are in a set of an emergency kind of situation. And I know it's on your list because you already mentioned it.
Yep.
Anything you want to add on it?
No, that's awesome. I mean,
Okay.
we know how amazing peppermint is.
And it smells like Christmas.
Yes.
So how do you go wrong? All right, so oregano is the next one on my list. And oregano, I really don't use oregano very often, but I can tell you in the event that I were in an emergency situation, I'd be very glad that I had it, especially if it were something that lasted long term. And just because, oregano it's so potent. So, it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic, it's antiseptic, antiviral. And for me, I think of oregano, I don't know about you, but I think of it as like the big dog. So if I just, I've got something that's just really going on with me that my body isn't kicking, particularly respiratory, I'm looking to oregano. You can use it for yeast infections, bacterial infections, back and joint pain, flu, fungal infections like athlete's foot. It's really good for stimulating the immune system. And I think it's a necessity, even if I don't use it that often, because when you need it, you need it.
Yep. And the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to oregano is it also has benefit as an antibacterial wash for surfaces. So, think about flood zones, and as the water starts to recede, the amount of bacteria that may be on your surfaces. Having oregano can definitely help to alleviate some of the bacteria, especially on hard surfaces. It is one of those oils that you need to be cautious about for direct skin application. So if you have some type of a skin lotion in your kit, if you have coconut oil, even if you could pull a stick of butter out of the fridge before everything melts away, if you're going to use it topically, use it with some type of a dispersant, just to keep yourself from falling into some type of skin misery from having a reaction.
Absolutely. I really should have had 8 items on my list, because coconut oil for diluting all of your oils topically should probably just be a necessity as well. So we'll just consider that I had an 8 and know that it's coconut oil.
There you go.
Melaleuca, tea tree.
Yep.
Gotta have it. Absolutely have to have it. I can't say enough about Melaleuca. I don't really like the smell of it. But it's really not about the smell. When you're in an emergency, it's antibacterial, antifungal, anti-infectious, it's anti-inflammatory, antiparasitic, antiseptic, antiviral. It is anti-everything. It's fabulous for purifying the air, for mold, also like surface mold as well. So in an emergency like you were talking about, the flood and the receding waters, there's mold everywhere when that water starts to go away. But it's great for coughs, colds, skin irritations, bug bites. It's good for your immune function, so stimulating your immune system. Good for respiratory, throat. You can actually pull splinters out with it, but I've never tried it. I've only read about it at this point. It's great. I mean, you use it for sinus infections, respiratory ailments, treating wounds, gum disease, if you've got anything going into your mouth, lice. I imagine, you couldn't live without it. You really couldn't. I don't know how I lived without it with so many years. It's on your list, I assume?
Yeah, of course.
Everything on my list on your list?
Yeah, the 7 that you told me earlier, they're all on my list, of course.
Okay, nice.
I do want to, one thing I want to mention, B had asked the question is, are we talking about fractionated coconut oil? The only real difference with the fractionated coconut oil, B, is the fact that it stays liquid at all times. So, like if you're making a roller bottle, fractionated coconut oil is fantastic. It's preferred because it remains liquid. But in a case like a prepper's kit, you could have regular coconut oil that you just add your oils to. For example, I have regular plain coconut oil set aside that I've put oils in as a topical rub for the cats. And I'll take it out. During the summer, I kind of leave it in the fridge. Otherwise, it gets to be too liquidy to use. But as soon as that hits 76 degrees, it starts to immediately change consistency and go liquid. So just by taking it out of the fridge and leaving it in my hand for about 3 seconds, it softens to the point where I can use that as a topical rub. It's still going to get absorbed into your skin just as easily. All right, Dana, what's your next one?
Clove. Got to be clove. Cloves, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-infectious, it's anti-inflammatory, anti-parasitic, antiseptic, antiviral, anti-disinfectant. I mean, it is not anti-disinfectant. It acts as a disinfectant. I was just all into that anti mode. But it's really great, especially if you have mouth issues. So if you've got, a toothache or gum disease, canker sores, anything like that, clove has been used historically forever in the mouth, and it has a numbing effect, which makes it really nice. Also great for mold, both surface and airborne. It stimulates the immune system. You can use it to draw toxins and infections out of the body. Use it to relieve nausea or constipation. You can use it to disinfect utensils and surfaces, to freshen the foul, stale air. You can treat wounds with it, cuts, fungal infections like athlete's foot, insect bites, stings. So it really has a lot of applications. And for an emergency situation, I think clove would be an important one that you would want to have in your kit.
Yep. And, as you're going through the list, there are blends. Obviously, I'm sure, the world is familiar with Young Living Steve's blend and doTERRA's On Guard blend. You'll also see similar blends called Bandits or Four Thieves or Protection. They all have the same basic ingredient list in all of those blends, and that'll include it'll include clove and frankincense and either a citrus oil like lemon or orange. Cinnamon. It has a lot of these very similar ingredients, and they tend to be very similar to what we're recommending as individual oils. So if you didn't have access to the blends, these are oils that you could combine to give you that same level of benefit. Right.
I just tried to keep it blend free, so that they were oils that weren't considered for one purpose or towards one brand.
Right, exactly.
And then lastly, oil number 7, frankincense. Frankincense is anti-infectious, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. Really, it's like it's the king of oils, they call it, and for good reason. I mean, if you're in doubt, what to do, use your frankincense. You can use it for severe head pain. You can use it to boost your immune system, helps provide clarity and focus, reducing inflammation. So, you know, in a state of an emergency, you know, there may be a little bit more physical exercise or, you know, work that's being done, you know, so you got sore hands, sore legs, rub it in. It's good for healing the skin, for cuts, scrapes, burns, sunburns, and it's a must-have. It's absolutely a must-have.
Yep, I totally agree. I would add, the one that I would definitely try to add to that list would be lemongrass. It's not often thought of in your first line of defense when it comes to essential oils for a prepper's kit. But here's where lemongrass kind of has a leg up on some of the others. Not only is it a great muscle rub in a pinch, it's really great, you know, for topical relief for sore muscles, and you will tend to have a greater level of exertion during this type of an event. But it's also a phenomenal bug repellent, especially for flying insects, because it is similar to citronella in that regard. So just having it aromatically, even if you just put a couple of drops on on paper towels or on some rags and left it out, just the aroma itself acts as a bug repellent. And, well, for anybody who's been through a catastrophe like this, where you're without power for 3 or 4 days, you tend to have the windows open, the doors open, to get some circulation going because you've got no power. Then you become hypersensitive to every little bug and every insect that is now attracted to your sweaty body. Because you may not have running water, you may not have hot water, you may not be able to shower. So having something like that is infinitely beneficial. So that would be, you know, kind of the wild card that I would throw in. Anything that you can do to aid in digestion. So peppermint is a great option, like Dana mentioned, for digestion. Ginger, even if you have pieces of dried ginger in your kit, you don't even have to have the ginger essential oil, but you can have pieces of ginger in your prepper's kit, will help aid in digestive issues. So there's a great deal of stuff available, and I would highly recommend that you at least look into it. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. And unlike a lot of the stuff that you buy at the store, these are natural. They're going to last, with the only exception being probably the lemon essential oil. They're going to last between anywhere from 3 to 10 years before the oils themselves start to oxidize and become relatively useless for you. The lemon should be changed out every year, because that one really only has a life of about a year because of the way it's processed. So with that, let's open it up to questions, unless you've got some more you want to add, Dana, or Jennifer, if you've got some stuff that you want to throw in.
Nope. I've got no more to add. I want them all. In the event of emergency, I want my big, gigantic box, and I want every single oil plus my reference book so that as issues occur, I can pull it out. I got it, I haven't filled it.
That's the rescue kit right there.
Right. B had asked in regard to your comment about the ginger, did you mean like dried or candied ginger?
You know what? Either one works. The candied ginger, you just have to be careful if there's too much sugar.
The sugar.
But usually when you get ginger like that, the reason they add sugar to it is to cut down on some of that really strong excessive heat of dried ginger. So they usually will add sugar to it just to kind of offset the mouth burn.
I think in the event of an emergency, I might be happy to have the sugar.
It's possible.
I might be glad that I bought the bag that I would never eat under normal circumstances.
We have some turmeric covered ginger that we haven't tried yet.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. If you just do they have black pepper on it?
I don't know.
You have to look. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
How funny.
But it's dusted with turmeric.
All right, Ronnie, B, any other questions as far as oils for prepping or just general ideas on you know, what else you might want in a prepper kit?
You know what I have in my kit that has nothing to do with essential oils, but I think everybody should have one?
A banana.
No. I have a siphon. So
Yeah.
I can siphon gas out of a tank.
What if the tanks aren't rolling through your neighborhood yet?
Well, then I guess I'm in trouble. If the tank is rolling through my neighborhood, I'm pretty sure I won't be having the opportunity to siphon gas out of somebody else's gas tank.
No.
All right. Well, let's wrap up this recording, and then we'll open the floor up for questions on any general topic. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. For any of you that are watching the replay, remember we post the information on the Summers Wellness Facebook page about these classes every single Sunday. We also have a page called Essential Oils Education, both on Facebook. If you join us there, you'll be able to get the information as to what's coming in the upcoming weeks. Dana, what class are you doing next Sunday? I know you already have it planned.
Yeah, next week we're talking about resources because a lot of times, you know, we don't know where to go. We've got all these oils and, you know, what do we do with them? Or, you know, where do you get supplies to make your DIY stuff? You know, where do you get your shea butter, that kind of thing. So we're just talking about, you know, resources, places that you can go to get information, places that you can go to get supplies. And I'll have like a list put together so that, you know, everybody can get it off of the page after the class, you know, with links to the websites and whatnot.
Awesome. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for the recording for this particular class. Stick around with us so you can ask any other questions that you might have. For Dana from Whole Health Dana, I'm Evan with Summers Wellness. I hope you guys have a fantastic week.